So Alan Milburn's report on social mobility in the professions suggests that law remains one of the most socially exclusive professions. Young legal aid lawyers observe this is an imbalance is likely to be most extreme in legal aid where, unlike other legal sectors, firms are not able to fund legal practice course, which is the professional qualification we have to do, provide a bursary living expenses during study, and pay the kind of salary that would allow a person from a low-income background to pay off educational and other debts, support their family and buy property. The Legal Services Commission provides 150 training contract grants annually, each of which provide the trainee with funding for 60% of the legal practice course and provide the training contract provider with 50% of the minimum salary for up to 24 months. This is a welcome step towards encouraging talented young lawyers from low-income backgrounds to enter legal aid. What else does the panel propose should be done to increase social mobility within legal aid?
Absolutely.
Well, I could talk all day on this subject, but I'll try to keep it brief. I think, first of all, that this is an answer to your question, but one of the problems with the debate about entry to the profession and access is that the government, and in fact all of the parties I've heard speak about this, tend to make this false dichotomy between protecting vulnerable people on the one hand, which obviously no one is going to disagree is at the heart of legal aid, and fees to the profession and money to the profession on the other, as if the two are somehow at war with each other, and lawyers are constantly trying to grab more money for themselves at the expense of the vulnerable people legal aid is supposed to protect. And I think the issue about who is going into the profession and the challenges they face absolutely exposes what's wrong with that perspective. People go into legal aid work because they care about protecting vulnerable people. The kinds of people who go into legal aid work are well documented. Women are overrepresented, minority practitioners are overrepresented, and they are the ones that are suffering from the current regime of cuts. I know there is a finite budget and everyone has to be realistic about that, but I don't think it's helpful to try to focus the issue on services to vulnerable people as if ensuring quality and proper funding for the profession is somehow different. It's the same thing. Vulnerable people will not be adequately protected if, one, there is not a high-quality profession able to represent them, and two, that profession is representative of the clients they serve. Black people are overrepresented in the criminal justice system. The reason why is a whole other issue. But when you see young black practitioners leaving the bar and legal practice, it's deeply, deeply troubling. I left the bar because I couldn't earn a sustainable living doing legal aid. Many of the other pupils at the same time as me had partners who worked in the city, or they had wealth saved up. And I wouldn't consider myself from an underprivileged background, and I couldn't afford to do it. So it makes you wonder what's happening inside the profession, and I think that's really troubling. And I'm still waiting to hear either the government or any of the other parties address that as a serious issue. They all say they care about diversity in the profession, but when you look at the nuts and bolts of what's happening and the way it's taking us backwards, I haven't heard anyone address that seriously.
Well, I think your point about supporting the training scheme is well made, and it's one of the things that everyone unanimously agrees and ideally would like to do more of. We're developing the scheme based on feedback from young legal aid lawyers. So one of the things that people asked us about was some kind of mentoring scheme where we could pair up existing trainees with people who have been training, and that's happening. I think what we need to do is also publicise this as a career, not through the existing routes, but actually through some new routes, places where people maybe don't think about a career in law and in legal aid. And we've had some success in doing that with LAPG and other organisations. I do think it's by coming together and publicising the advantages of both being a trainee and the availability of training grants will we help get the messages across. I think mentors are really important, and I think role models certainly have a role to play in that.